So in today's video, what I'm going to do is show you a comparison of my setup for impact golf swing face on and down the line with a driver, which you see on the left, and the sand wedge on the right. And I've actually linked the swings together so that they'll move at the same time. I'm just going to go through and tell you what's different and what's the same, as well as the down the line. You can see me swinging on a single plane with each of the clubs. And this is what I teach as part of my learning program on my website at setupforimpact.com. Here on the left is the driver, and what we're really looking for at setup, you'll see club in alignment with the leading arm. Here with the sand wedge, you see the same thing, club in alignment at setup. You'll notice, of course, ball position's a little bit different. With the sand wedge, it's close to the middle of the stance, and with the driver, I have it just slightly inside the heel of the left foot. And I myself was a little bit surprised at how similar or how much almost identical these two swings are, even though they're different golf clubs. And that's kind of what I'm shooting for here with the method, is to make it as simple as possible. So I'm going to set it in motion here, and you can see how I take it back with a body rotation starting back. And you can see it's pretty identical going back, especially if you look at the arm orientation here. Right arm, left arm. Now the driver, of course, is swung on a little bit flatter plane, but you're going to see in the down the line view in a few minutes that it's actually pretty close to the same motion all the way through. If you look at the body turn, you'll see that I turn my hips back, and the foot position, of course, the wedge stance is a little bit more narrow. But what I'm looking for when people are sending in videos as part of my coaching program is the transition. So I want to see the club still moving up as the shifting starts into the left side for me, because as a right-handed golfer. So you see the shifting, and you see both the heel of the left foot and the knees starting to move towards the target, and the club's not finished going back yet. And so I'm getting the weight into the left side, and the left leg is bent here coming in, and it's going to be able then to straighten, which creates power, and it aids in getting the hips open here going through, and really trying to help with lag and carry the lag all the way through impact. So you can see when I talk about lag in some of my other videos, you see I'm comparing the club lagging behind the alignment of the left arm, and you see in this, the driver actually looks like it has more, but it's actually on a flatter plane, so that can be deceptive. I think if you viewed it perpendicular to the plane, that it would be about the same. Of course, the driver's a little bit longer also, so that's another difference. But you'll see here coming in the position of the hands and the angle of the shaft, that's pretty close here to the same. And you'll see here at impact, this is really what I focus my method on, is teaching people how to have lag at impact. So with the club lagging behind, and you'll see even with the driver, same thing, club lagging behind. And you'll see this in all top players, and it's something that very few amateurs ever achieve. And in my opinion, it's because they don't really work on it. And without working on it, you can't get there. And for me, it's really the main component of my program, besides learning to set up on your impact plane and setting up for impact. This is the main thing that you have to learn, not some backswing. You'll see here, when we get into just past impact, you'll see also a pretty straight line after impact. You see how the legs have straightened somewhat. You see the extension through the shot, and then the finish all the way around where I'm standing over my left leg. So we're going to move on to the down the line next. So here with the driver on the left and the sand wedge on the right, you see I've made some markings on here showing the spine angle, and you notice with the sand wedge on the right, I'm bent forward about 42 degrees from vertical, and with the driver on the left, 30 degrees. And you'll notice that, of course, the driver is somewhat longer, I think about 8 inches. So the driver's about 45 inches and the sand wedge about 37. So I see a lot of people with different methods trying to set up with the same spine angle bend forward, and I just don't see it being effective for most people. It's either too much for the driver or too little for the wedges. And in my case, I would stand a little bit too upright with the wedges, which caused me issues, and hit the long clubs good. And I see a lot of people with similar issues, hitting irons good and woods bad, or the opposite, and wedges bad and the rest good. And I think it has a lot to do here with the setup. So I teach you to set up on your impact plane. And so we can take a look then. You see the spine is marked in red. And take a look at the motion. You see how the club goes back along that line that I'm set up on. And so my goal is to set up on the impact plane. And I also want this orientation of the trailing arm to club shaft to remain pretty close to the same from setup to impact. For each person, that can be a little bit different. Most people will have the trailing arm bent a little bit coming into impact, which I think is good. And it's important to match that in the setup position. You notice where I am at the top with the club perfectly parallel to the swing plane here. We'll make a little mark there. And it's that way because of the rotation of the body. So you can see how the leading shoulder has rotated out around the spine. And so it's out more away from the spine. And that's what puts the club then above the plane there. And as I come back down, as the rotation of the upper torso goes back to where it started, you'll see that the club's perfectly on plane. And when it comes back in to impact, you'll see that the club's right back on the plane I set up on. And that's a key component to set up for impact, but also for swinging on a single plane. It's really critical here to take the club back, on the same plane you want to swing down on. And that makes it really a lot easier to attain great ball striking. And I'm playing the best golf of my life at 60 years old, and that's my goal for each of my clients, is to help them play the best golf they've ever played. So a lot of people are taking it back to the inside, and that invariably ends up creating a path to the right, which then results in early release. And so that's what we don't want. So take it back on the same plane you're going to swing down on. So it's really a single plane motion here, back and through. So the club's moving back and coming back down. You notice again the legs, the hips are turned back, and then they're back pretty early to square, while the upper body's still a little bit closed. And you notice as I get into impact, the hips are open as well as the upper torso. And you see a right heel coming off the ground, which shows I'm using the ground forces to create more speed. And the club you see move up here on the other side, going through also up the swing plane. So it's a very much a swing on a single plane with each of these clubs. You notice the planes are a lot different. Also, the wedge, of course, is much steeper, as a sand wedge has a much steeper, more upright lie angle. I believe mine is about 66 degrees, whereas the driver's about 58. So, and again, the length has a lot to do with that. But setting up for impact makes the game a lot easier, and you can see it's very, very effective. So any questions or comments, pop them in the box below, and check out setupforimpact.com. Let me coach you to the best golf of your life. I look forward to hearing from you, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching.